Welcome to The Space Between. On this episode, I am joined by Sue Molnar. Sue is a founding Senior Master Instructor at SoulCycle and has been on an incredible healing and rebirth journey in the space between. Together, we discuss the trending topic of healing, Sue's personal journey, and how healing is an inside job. Join us as we connect through conversation. Welcome to The Space Between. I'm Alyson and I'm very excited to have you all join me and Sue Molnar for our episode on healing. Sue, welcome to The Space Between.
Thank you, Alyson.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah, stoked to be here.
And I just want to say thank you for all your support because you have been,
of course,
we've been discussing this for so long. And when I get to have my nearest and dearest in this room with me and we record, there's just not a feeling that can describe how amazing it is to have you here. So thank you. Thank you so much. So The Space Between, for anyone that hasn't watched any of the episodes before, it really is this interesting time that we find ourselves in. It is a time of a lot of transformation, of great change, and a lot of upheaval is a word that comes up a lot. And we're recording this at the end of January in 2024. I am personally very happy to see 2023 go bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's already the end of January, but go ahead.
You're just rolling right in. You're like, let's let this month go by. I have it on pretty good authority that February will be different energy and it'll really be the energetic footprint of the new year.
I had a good January. I'm just, this part of the winter is just like,
it is.
Ugh.
We need some sun. Let's bring the sun back.
And some warmth.
So, Sue, why don't you go ahead and tell everyone who you are? I mean, in my life, you wear a lot of hats, but who are you? Tell us.
Who am I? Well, I live in New York. I lived in New York City for the past 16 years, but a year ago, I moved to the Hudson Valley, and I am an instructor at SoulCycle.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
The good old SoulCycle.
Yeah. So I was one of the original instructors at SoulCycle back in the day when it was tiny, and I'm still there.
Yes. And I would say you were very foundational in that company. And as a senior master instructor, one of the things I would say about you that you would not say about yourself is you're one of the most inspirational people I know.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And you got me through some of the hardest times in my life in that room.
Wow.
And I know I'm not the only one.
Thank you.
A lot of people listening are going to know that. But you're not from New York.
No, I was born in Wisconsin, moved down south when I was 10. Yeah. Grew up in the South. When I graduated from college, I just hit the country. I started in Atlanta. I went to Chicago, went to Los Angeles, and ended up in New York.
Right.
So.
And you also had a former life as
a flight attendant.
So you really have been everywhere. Like you have the best stories from all over the world.
Yeah, I have. I traveled mostly domestically, but I did a little bit of international. But yeah, I saw the country, that's for sure. Yeah. Did that for a long time.
You did. And somehow you're still in the New York area. So am I. It's been an interesting couple years here, hence the move to the Hudson Valley. It's been an interesting journey to be in New York through, what I call the space between. It's changed a lot, I think.
Yeah, my life went into massive upheaval right as the pandemic hit. So it's been a journey for me the past 3 years, 3+ years.
And we'll talk more about that. So healing is our theme today. And this is a really hot topic. I think that there's a lot of talk about healing and journeys and paths and all of it. And when I thought about this topic, you immediately came to mind.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
it's very good. To be clear,
it's good because I'm on the other side. I feel like in many ways I'm on the other side of it.
100%.
Yeah.
But when I think about healing as a lifelong journey and how you have to just keep, exploring and going towards what it is that you want to either feel or think or vibrate or whatever it is, you are someone that just walks the path and never gives up. And I immediately thought of you.
Thank you.
And I have so much respect for what you've been through the last couple of years. I love you very much. And I think that a lot of people are going to take some great things of what we're going to talk about.
Well, I hope so. One of the biggest ways that we can help each other is to share our stories.
Totally.
I have been in 12-step programs a lot in my life. And one of the really cool things about a 12-step program is you try to refrain from sharing your opinion.
Interesting.
And you more so share your experience.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you what I think or what I believe. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. This is what I tried. This is what worked. This is what didn't work.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And for healing, for me, like that's huge. I want to know what to try, what pills to buy, what methods to try, what books to read, what podcasts to listen to. I want to know what worked for you to help myself. I do want to share what worked for me if it helps anyone at all.
Right. And that is the whole intention for this podcast, right? We're not here, to be clear, we're not here to tell anybody what to do. And I think that, you know, when we talk about, and I'll read the definition in a minute of the Oxford Dictionary, which we always do, but the narratives of healing is that, you know, you need someone to heal you, or someone else that's external needs to come in and tell you, well, this is what's wrong with you and this is what you're going to do about it. That could be so far from the truth.
That's like the Western approach, right?
Right. And we're moving out of that, you know, astrologically and energetically. It's not, you know, someone can heal you. It's, I have to go within to find the healing for myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's never been more true. So I always laugh. I kind of really enjoy the Oxford Dictionary. So the definition of healing is the process of becoming or making somebody/something healthy again.
Okay.
So the process of, which I'm like, okay, that's sure. It sounds really simple in a definition, doesn't it? It's like, oh, the process of
making
to be healed.
Something or someone healthy again.
But we're going to talk about the process today because that's what it is. It's a process.
Yeah. Yeah. It's work in a way. You hear a lot of people say you got to do the work, right?
Yes.
You got to do the work.
Yes.
And for me, I thought, what is the work? How do I find the work?
Right.
And then, am I willing to do the work?
Right.
Am I capable of doing the work?
Right.
Am I going to do it right? Do it wrong? Is it going to work? Is it going to work?
Is the work going to work?
Is the work going to work?
Right.
How long is it going to take? Results. Am I going to see any results?
Right. Right.
Because this, of course, the age we're living in is we want results yesterday.
Oh yeah, we're
right?
So used to that
instant gratification. You don't want to do work, inner work, painful work for a year and not see any progress or any healing.
Right.
But but one of the, you learn to let go of the results and do the work for the work's sake. And trust the universe, trust the process. Right. Anyway, okay.
No, I think I love exactly what you said because the word work has a negative connotation.
It does.
And I also, so maybe that's another, maybe there's another word we can use in the future. It's almost like spirituality. That kind of has like a negative connotation. So we're moving into this new energy. It's, but we only have so many words to use. And I think, something really interesting, if I can comment on something that you said, was just generally how you have to do the work, but you don't have there's no roadmap. And nothing in the beginning when you begin your healing journey.
I just researched my ass off.
Exactly. It's like whack-a-mole.
Yeah. I just found myself at the lowest point of my life, basically.
Right.
I'm a cancer survivor. I had cancer. That was a journey all on its own. And I did a lot of research and healing in that process too, because I went along with what the Western doctors told me I should do, which was surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I did my own research and I changed my own daily lifestyle habits, my nutrition, and things that I could use myself to facilitate the healing of the surgery, the chemo, and the radiation. And then I recovered from that, what I thought was beautifully, mentally and physically.
It was unbelievable.
I just bounced right back.
You were unbelievable.
And but then I got hit with divorce. And you always hear that divorce is one of the big traumas, whatever, stressful situations of life or whatever. And that laid me so low, much, much worse than cancer. It devastated me in every area of my life. Yeah. Practically, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything. And that's when it first happened, it took me a bit, maybe a few months, where I just was in shock. And this was right at the beginning of the pandemic, so I found myself alone. And I was drinking, not a ton, but I was drinking was a coping mechanism for me. And I came to the crossroad of get busy living or get busy dying. Like, is this it for me? Am I going to let this defeat me? And is this going to be the end? Right. And it's kind of all downhill from here, which I could have done because it was right at the time in a woman's life where, you know, I had to have a full hysterectomy. So I went right into surgical menopause. And
from your cancer that you got.
From the cancer, right? So I was dealing with that transformation,
which is massive.
Yeah. And I don't know what in me got on a mission to get better, but I did. I was just like, okay, here I go. And that's when I started to research. Yeah. And I let go of the alcohol. And then I just started on a million different healing things that I'm here, I guess, to talk about. But
yeah. And I think people need to understand the timeline, because it really is, when I think about it, and I was with you through all of it, I still go like, wow, right? Because you were diagnosed. It was pretty quick that you had to make some very big decisions for your life. You took what I would consider like a holistic or an integrative approach, right? The Eastern Western.
Yeah.
You did a lot of preparation and post-surgery and all of it. And then things happened. Divorce, wham, pandemic. Like, was that like a 3-year time span? I mean,
it wasn't even that.
Yeah, it's
I was only married for I think a year and a half when it all blew up, and it was right at the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, we were about to go into lockdown, and then boom, there you were. Yeah. And I think people need to understand that timeline, because most people in their life don't go through one of those things as intensely as you went through them. You had wham, bam, bam. And here you are, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at you.
One thing I would say is that it took, this is 3.5 years later.
Right.
I was a hot mess for a long time. I've always been pretty thin. I lost about 25 pounds without meaning to.
Yeah.
For a good 2 years, I couldn't gain a single pound. That was one of my missions. I'm like, I got to get some meat back on my body.
Right.
But it took a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I got from people was, why aren't you better yet?
Really?
Not in those words.
Right. You just knew. Like,
it never in a bad intention.
Right.
But
people are people.
But people say funny things when you're struggling. I remember one woman. I teach at SoulCycle, so I've got a lot of riders.
Right. It's quite a community.
When I say rider, I mean a client, person that rides at SoulCycle with me, and they're all extremely supportive and basically put me on their shoulders and carried me through when I had cancer. And someone sent me a card, and she said, "I'm so sorry to hear about what happened, and I can't remember exactly how she worded it, but she said, why don't you just heal faster than anyone else? To show them how strong you are.
Right.
Like, you can bounce back from this better than and faster than anyone.
Right.
And I read the card, and I appreciated the support
Right.
and the intent.
Right. The intention's good, but wow.
But that was not my journey at all.
Yeah.
I did not heal fast or quickly.
Right.
And people are sad for you. They're like, are you not better yet? Oh, man.
Right.
And they want you to get better because they want you to feel better because they're sad. You're sad.
Right.
But it's not helpful.
No. And it doesn't work that way. That's one of the narratives I wrote down. You have to be patient with your journey.
Yeah.
Nothing happens quickly. And you said it at the beginning of our conversation today. We want this instant gratification.
Yes.
And nothing happens quickly. And anything that's worth it definitely doesn't happen quickly. It takes time. And you had a lot of patience. And the word I would use, and it's your life, so you would have to tell me what you think, is perseverance.
Yes. I mean, I think I've always been blessed with perseverance. I don't know why or how, but I just am.
It's innate.
Friggin' warrior.
You are.
Like, I will just once I get my mind to it or whatever, I just am going to try everything until I'm dead.
Yeah. You're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
And you always saw, even in your darkest moments, because you and I are very close, you always saw light. You were never never going to give up, right? And a lot of people easily would have.
I don't know, Alyson, because I didn't have this gung-ho, attitude. I had a bad attitude. I was bummed.
You were. But you didn't give up.
I didn't give up. I lost my will.
Yeah.
I lost my hope that life was going to turn out okay for me. Right. And that attitude was not fleeting. It was, I did what I did with that attitude.
You did.
I didn't wait for a hope or wait to feel better or wait for a better attitude. I felt hopeless and shitty and unhealthy and sad, and I just did the work anyway.
And I think it's important to pause, and what we said before, what Sue's about to share with her path and her story is not what anyone else's path in the world will be. Everyone has their own path, right?
Yeah.
So I use an asterisk of, just like we said before, be curious. As you step into your healing journey, as you step into your own path, if you are intentional and if you have a will to want to be healed and to feel better in all ways, the doors will open for you and your curiosity will serve you. There is no timeline. There is no blueprint. There is no roadmap.
Yeah, there's no right way or wrong way. I'm not a religious person. I'm not a big prayer, but first of all, I started meditating daily.
Was that your first stop? Because I don't even actually think I know.
I was stopping drinking.
Right. So that's huge. Massive.
Right. Because alcohol, I would even just 1 or 2 glasses of wine or a cocktail.
I'm going to do a whole episode on alcohol.
Yeah. Alcohol had to go.
Yeah.
I researched alcohol. I read 3 books on alcohol. I listened to podcasts about alcohol.
You sent me a lot of that. You helped me helped me wide open my eyes.
Every podcast I listen to, every book I read, everything that was massively helpful for me, I shared with everybody I knew that I felt like connected with that issue. Right. I mean, I still do that to this day.
And thank you for that. That Quit Like a Woman, Holly Whitaker, and we're going to link that in the show notes. Oh. Wow. If you want to know about alcohol, read that book.
Yeah. I have that on audiobook, Quit Like a Woman by Holly Whitaker. And I'm also, like I said, I have a lot of friends that have been sober many, many years through 12-step program, and she's on a different path.
Yeah.
But I have it on audiobook, and when I couldn't sleep at night, I would just put it on with the sleep timer. So I listened to that book in snippets for 3 years straight.
Yeah.
It helped tremendously. So I did so much research on alcohol. And once I got rid of that, I started meditating. And I meditated with apps. I used 10% Happier, Dan Harris's app.
It's really good, yeah.
Amazing. Insight Timer and Calm.
Yep.
And I really used 10% Happier. It has a meditation 101 program.
That's nice. So it's something you follow. My husband just did that. Oliver just did that.
Yeah.
He's been 120 days every day meditating.
I did it every day for a year.
It's amazing.
Because the app tracks it
Right.
and lets you know, and you get little confetti. When,
Right.
You know.
He said the same thing.
And
he's like, this is so
I'm
satisfying.
like, where's my confetti?
That's what he said. I think he got screwed up one day and he was like, oh shit, this is
like,
horrible.
Like
he was like emailing them, like, can you give me
I did too. I emailed them and I said, I really like the confetti.
It's so cute. So I'll tell him, well, he'll watch this, but he won't feel alone in that. He was so bummed. He's like, but I meditated today. He was at day 100 too. It was like a big day.
Right. So
those apps help, and we'll link them below too.
Joseph Goldstein is Dan Harris's meditation teacher, and he does the meditation 101 on that.
Nice.
And it makes it so user friendly, and meditation was crucial.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Quiet time.
In the healing. Then, and I said before, I'm not a prayer, one who prays, but I started praying. And more to the universe, universal energy.
Yeah.
And in my experience, the universe brought to me what I needed to heal.
Through that meditations and through the quiet.
Just in general.
And the prayer. Right.
It
just comes to you.
No, like I was just like, please show me what I need to do to heal.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And then you find it, you see it, you hear it.
You're open.
Comes across,
and you were open. That's big.
So people out of the blue were sending me books, and not because, like, we're talking about a timeline of 3 years, so it's not like this happened and all of a sudden all this stuff poured in. It's not right.
It's like a drip.
Yeah,
that's how I would describe it.
When you're ready, the teacher appears, right? Yeah. So my friend in Texas, out of the blue, sent me Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson.
That's a great book. I'm reading it now.
Which is an amazing book. If she's a psychic medium, and she teaches you how to communicate with your dearly departed and with your, what she calls a team of light, or guardian angels.
Your guides, your angels.
Right.
All interchangeable.
And so I read that. I went to see her. She did a reading on Long Island. I went to see her.
Oh, that must have been so
I'm really
cool.
into communicating with
the metaphysical. Yeah.
People on the other side. And once you do, it's really kind of freaky how they answer you. And you can
wild.
Really get into a direct communication, and you get these undeniable signs that make you feel like, okay, this is not all there is.
Right.
Or
that keep pulling you along your path. It's like those little keep going, Sue, keep going.
Oh, right.
And everyone
You're not alone.
And everyone has this innate ability. This is something that I talk about on this podcast all the time. It's not just a psychic medium. It's not just this person or that person that can connect to the other side in the other realms. Every single one of us has this capability, and it's all there for us.
Yeah. You just have to tap into it. That's what Laura Lynn Jackson says too. You don't have to be a psychic medium to communicate.
And she's so great at explaining it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful book. You have to read her books to understand how legit she is.
Yeah.
But I hate social media. I'm not a social media type person. The only reason I'm on it is because of my work and my career. Otherwise, I would not be on any of it.
Same.
However, I have found a lot of the healing that happened to me, I found on Instagram.
Especially through the pandemic. I mean, there was talks happening in Instagram lives, and you were tuning in, and we had more time.
Connection.
I feel like that was really big. I found a lot of people I still follow during that time too.
Because one of the feelings that I had this whole time was how alone I was. I'd never been so alone in my life. I had been single all my life, and I never thought I'd even get married. I got married when I was about 52, 52, 53, something like that, maybe even 54. And I went all in. Like, you know, I just went all in.
Yeah.
100% and in every way, shape, and form. And when it was yanked out from under me, I felt so alone. Yeah. And then it was the beginning of the pandemic. And the sense of isolation and no communication. And honestly, it continues to this day. And thank God for my job.
Yeah.
My job and my career were the one constant, solid in my life.
And you show up. You've had what, one sick day and how many?
Yeah, I show up. I show up.
Even through like treatment and all of it.
You know,
this woman is a badass bitch.
I will give it to SoulCycle that they figured out how to continue during the pandemic by creating outdoor classes.
Right.
We taught outdoor in New York City during the winter. So we would put scarves and hats and gloves and foot warmers in our shoes, and we would get on the bike in the middle of winter in order to, and we were still masked when we were talking to each other, and we were keeping our distance, but it was a way to connect. But still to this day, I don't have any human touch in my life. Like I don't ever find myself touching another human being. And you know what? When I thought of saying that, I was just wanting to come here and touch you. Just feel that. Like, how often do you actually let yourself do that?
And this is true connection.
Right.
I mean, conversations connection too, but we're humans. We crave. I love that. Thank you for the lovely hug.
Yeah. But anyway.
And it has been. I'm sure everyone can resonate with that. The lack of connection, whether it be physical, emotional.
It's like it's in our DNA. We need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Human touch and physical connection. And I haven't had any in 3.5 years. So that was just one aspect of the abyss that I was in.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so I got rid of the alcohol. I started meditating every single morning. I discovered the Wim Hof method.
That was massive for you.
Yeah.
When I think of your journey, I always think of that as like the first, like if you almost think of it like a peak, which is probably not the right way to think about it. It was like your first level of like, oh, wow. Bam. I mean, I remember when you told me you were doing it, it was the first time I saw you light up in a very long time.
Thank you. Exactly. That's what happens, I think, when you decide, I'm going to fucking heal myself.
Right.
Then things come to you.
Yep.
And you know them when you see them. Yep. And when I saw that dude getting in the cold and talking about and breathe, motherfuckers.
Yeah, and just the way he moves his body, and his story is incredible. The Wim Hof method. Is. I mean, talk about someone that came from the bottom. I mean, he was.
If you're not familiar with the Wim Hof method, I mean, he's pretty out there these days.
It's pretty popular, but some people might not be.
We'll
link it below.
It's breath work and cold plunges.
Yep.
And so every single morning for over a year, I woke up. I meditated on one of the apps. I did the breath work on the Wim Hof app.
Yeah, because he has his own breath work.
You can breathe with him.
Yep.
And I did a cold plunge. And sometimes that meant a cold shower. And sometimes that meant filling the bathtub with the coldest water I could and putting ice cubes in it and plunging that way. And that was really helpful. On my birthday, a year or two ago, I went to a Wim Hof workshop.
Oh, you did that.
And that's where you actually get into like the ice bath. Yeah. And that was a different,
all ice and a little bit of water.
Yeah.
Very, very different than a cold shower.
It was, I submerged for 3 minutes and, just up to your neck, your head isn't underwater, but, it was painful. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait before I do that again. Yeah. But anyway, so the Wim Hof method was huge for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I did so many things. In the meantime, I'm skinny as a rail, right? I'm 5'9", and I got down to like 112 pounds, which is scary. I hadn't been that skinny since I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And So I was also going to doctors, general practitioners, functional medicine doctors, acupuncturists, nutritionists, gastroenterologists,
all of it.
You name it. Like every doctor, there's a funky, hooey-falooey doctor's office out on Long Island. It's called the New York Center for Innovative Medicine, if anybody's familiar with it. They don't specialize in it, but they're well known for treating Lyme disease, which I have had before. But they diagnose every single thing that's wrong with you, and they give you this. I went there. I did their protocol. They do IV infusions. They do crystals. They do ultraviolet, just all kinds of stuff. I did theirs. I went to Reiki. I went to Reiki healer.
More breath work.
Breathwork facilitators. I did online sessions with shamanic healers who restored parts of my soul. Like,
What about your LA guy? That was big.
Yeah. I mean, it's just all different kinds of healers.
Yeah.
Body workers, healers, and eating, drinking protein shakes.
Right. You're just trying to gain weight and feel better.
Started listening to the Huberman Lab.
Oh,
right?
Huberman Lab
podcast, which is just amazing. It's a neuroscientist from Stanford, and he just gives you all kinds of ways to stay healthy. Therapy in the meantime.
Right.
Talk therapy.
That's always been my foundation too.
Right. I was talking to my therapist that I'd known for years, and my body wasn't getting better.
Right.
I couldn't gain a pound, and I was like, what the hell? My hair, like half my hair fell out.
Right.
I was just like, I lost my mojo. And I tried EMDR, which is eye movement.
I love
desensitization, reprocessing. EMDR is trauma therapy,
Yep.
where you either follow something with your eyes.
Yep. Or the paddles.
Or you get little buzzers or whatever. The paddles.
And for anybody that doesn't know what EMDR, we'll link it below. I'm not trying to say that somebody can't do it on their own. I don't really know if that's true or not. But it's my understanding
I don't think it's recommended to do that.
Yeah, that you go to a therapist or someone that has been trained in EMDR, because there's a very specific way that they need to, there's a flow to it, right? And as there's questions being asked and you kind of go in and out of it, it helped me break my codependency. And now I'm working on it for money trauma, which I have a shitload of.
Oh.
And it's been
my goodness.
really impactful.
Ugh.
So I know it doesn't work for everyone. I've suggested it to a lot of people. I mean,
it did not work for me.
Yeah, it really works. So again, just keep trying.
But I know
you'll find your thing.
I know people that it has been very, very transformational for.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So at first, when the bottom fell out of my life, we had to sell our Manhattan apartment. I had to find somewhere to live during the pandemic. I just was a hot mess basket case where just crying and grieving. And then I don't know if I bottomed out or if it's just a phase that I went through, but then suddenly I couldn't feel anything.
Yeah, you were numb for a while.
I was super numb.
Yeah.
And I couldn't cry and I couldn't laugh.
Which is trauma. I mean, this is just stages of trauma. Yeah. That's what
I was the walking dead. I was a zombie. I couldn't feel a thing. One of my lifelong best friends that I went to college with and lived with after college and has been my friend my whole life died.
Yeah.
2 years ago, and I didn't feel a thing. I couldn't cry. I couldn't grieve. Yeah. I just couldn't feel it at all. I still have not felt his death.
Yeah.
So when I was trying EMDR, so here I am, I'm trying to gain weight.
Right.
I'm trying to get I'm trying to get any sense of
right.
feeling good in my body back. And I thought I must be holding, I discovered the body keeps the score.
Yeah. Which we've talked about
hold trauma.
Bessel van der Kolk. I mean, that's a massive, massive breakthrough for people that have a lot of physical, because everything's connected, right?
Yes.
You're not gaining weight. Your hair is falling out. You don't feel well. You were searching for everything. I guess I could probably make the case that you were broken in every way.
Yes.
And you were piecing yourself back together. And the body literally sucks it all in. The body knows exactly what's happening, and it's where everything is stored.
Yeah.
And that is just a fact.
I mean, and in ways, I probably tried to put the cart before the horse. I probably tried to heal the body in a lot of ways.
That's what
with
everyone
all
does.
the doctors.
That's what everyone does.
With all the nutrition, with all the shakes,
American way.
with with all the the sleeping techniques and the morning sunrise and the Wim Hof stuff, like everything. And then I started going inside, and I did the EMDR. And you have to get to know a therapist. Like I had to go to a new therapist, and you had to have the relationship develop. So it's just like I spent a fortune on all these.
And that's another thing I want to say to the audience is that, there's privilege. We're acknowledging that there's a place of privilege here to be able to afford this. And obviously, thankfully, not everyone is going through what you went through in such an intense and quick time frame. You don't need to spend a fortune to heal. It is, again, everyone's path is different, but it's amazing that you had access to all of this.
Yes, I worked my ass off.
But and you did the work.
No,
there's also access to,
I mean, I worked overtime. I worked hard
to financially of course
to be able to afford.
No one's funding this for her, let's be clear. I hope I didn't make it sound that way.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
no, it
is
is a privilege. It is
a privilege, and I just want to call that out because not
this stuff.
Everyone can do that.
Although a lot of the things I did were not. A lot of the things I did were probably totally unnecessary, and I spent a fortune on them.
Yeah.
Right. And then a lot of the things I did were almost free. The Wim Hof method, the app.
There's a lot of things you can get out there.
The meditation apps. Like all these are very minimal costs.
Mm-hmm.
I did the tapping solution for a while. That's online. There's a lot on YouTube.
Really
Yoga Nidra. In order to calm the body, there's stuff online. Insight Timer was free, for a long time. I think it still is in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are so many resources, but you have to research and find them.
That's right.
But when I did EMDR, it didn't work because I was in that zombie phase where I couldn't feel anything.
Right. It just wasn't right time.
So here I am trying to. You have to feel the traumatic event in order for EMDR to process it out of the cells of your body. And I couldn't feel it at all. I wasn't crying. I was just sitting there telling the story.
So you had no foundation.
Like I told it a million times and it didn't work.
You have done even lead up, right? The biggest thing I've seen recently is your psychedelic journey.
Yeah.
Which I want to do a part 2 because I think it deserves its own.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I just did all this talk up. And that I feel is actually what got me over the edge was psychedelic therapy.
Yeah. And it's such a hot topic. And I think we could technically do 2 whole parts with it.
Yeah. So I for like 2 years, I did all the stuff we just talked about without seeing any results, by the way.
Yeah.
I was still felt hopeless. I still felt despondent. I still felt unlovable, unattractive, sad, depressed, broken, and physically, mentally, in every other way for 2 years. And I just kept going. I just kept going, and I just kept throwing shit against the wall. I would see something on online, or I'd hear about something or read a book, and I go, let's try that. And I would do it. And and then I got to the psychedelic therapy, and that was kind of like grad school. Like all the other stuff I did was
an interesting way to put it.
Was like getting me ready. Prep work.
Yeah.
And the real healing for me is almost like I couldn't do it on my own. I needed help. I needed that help. I've tried, universe, get cut.
But you were also coming from a place of, I think through all of that, at least in my observation of knowing you as well as I know you, you came to a place of inside of yourself. You were able to do the work of this. And then you come to these journeys, because, you know, you went to Jamaica and you've worked with a lot of different psychedelic therapists. And again, we're going to do a part 2 on psychedelics. But if you would have just done that and you just went to Jamaica, do you see what I mean?
No.
It wouldn't have worked.
This was a huge, every single thing I did, like if I looking back, I might cut out 1 or 2.
Right.
But every single thing I did was a crucial piece of the puzzle that put it all together and like put me back together again.
You have put yourself back together again. Are we making a Humpty Dumpty reference? It's the first thing that came to my mind. But you have you picked up the broken pieces and of glass and you glued them and hot glued them and put them together. And I mean, it has been so inspiring to watch you go through what you have gone through. And I know it's
thank you for saying that. I mean, I lost, people. I lost riders. Yeah. People are like, okay, just one more thing Sue's going through. Like I've had it with her.
People have a hard time when people are having a hard time. People that don't want to do the work and aren't on a journey, they're just like, oh, that's too much. I can't. And that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let
and
them
you
go.
know what? Yeah, right.
You know?
And if it's one thing, I'm definitely great. There are things I'm grateful for. And one is definitely the perspective of compassion for anybody that's healing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
From whatever.
Right.
From whatever. And it might seem insignificant to other people in your life. Like, why is this affecting you so much? Like, come on, girl. And in a way, like really I depended on a man that much that my whole being fell apart because he left, but it was so much more than that.
Right. That's simplifying it. And we shouldn't judge anyone's journey. I mean, who are we to say like, oh, why are they reacting that way to that? I mean, again, we're all on our own path and we just need to be there to support and have compassion for one another.
It was kind of like it was the timing and the way it happened and other events that had led up to that and family dynamics and my childhood stuff. And this was like the pinnacle of trauma for my life. And it's what laid me so low that I had to transform.
And you have. I mean, physically you look different. Your energy is wildly different.
Well, here's the good news is that I am just at the beginning.
You are. I can't wait to see where you're going to be like 6 months to a year
at
from
the
now.
Beginning of this version of me.
Yep.
So that might sound hooey-falooey, but it's true.
No, it's true.
I have tapped into something greater than myself. Yeah. And this is just the beginning.
I fucking love that so much.
So it took a long time.
And I think a lot of people are going to resonate. They don't have the same story as you. This is a new beginning. I put it on my social media. I tagged you this week, 2024. This is our new level, right? And I think a lot of people on social media, for what it's worth, they're talking about it. And we've all come through a certain amount of fire. We've walked through fire.
Yeah.
To be on the other side, there's probably a better way to put it, but now you have, it's funny too, because for women, right, of a certain age, it's like, oh, your life is no, your life is just beginning. Like, this is the real Sue Molnar, and let's see what she's going to create. Now you get to go create your life. And it's awesome.
Yeah. And if you would have said that to me 2 years ago, I would have collapsed in tears.
Right. Absolutely. You wouldn't even like,
and I did not believe I had it in me to pull myself up.
And you said that many times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how this is going to I don't know.
I was done. I was done. Yeah. And I was ready to just give up.
Absolutely. And you never did. And I think the biggest thing that we can leave the viewers, I have 2 last questions for you, but the biggest thing we can leave the audience today is like, don't give up. Have compassion for yourself. It's going to take time. There's nothing quick. There's nothing easy. The work is hard. Life is hard. People's stories are really, really hard. And when I look at you, and I have so much love for you as a friend, to the audience, look at what is possible. And I think a lot of times people will look at their life and be like, wow, man, if she could go through that shit, Sometimes it takes a story or knowing someone that's in a different place
Yeah.
to wake up to your own.
Well, there's always someone with a worse story than
Totally.
yours. Always. And I have gotten together with friends or through these last 3 years. And at the end, I joke and say, thank you for making me feel better about my life.
It's like amazing what people go through.
Yes.
And
I'm like, well, I thought I had it bad.
Exactly. In humans, we are creatures of survival. We want to keep going. It is our innate DNA. It's our innate essence as human beings to keep going.
So
what change do you want to see when it comes to healing in this time and in the future?
Oh, God. I just think the American healthcare system is the worst.
It's so
I mean,
bad.
when you,
it's really
and the
bad.
Western philosophy of damage control.
Yeah.
I follow Peter Attia on social media, and I read his book Outlive, and it's all about prevention. My girlfriend Ginger in Hawaii, she's starting a life coaching business because she's realizing that she's been a physical therapist for 30 years, and we treat after you're broken.
Right.
We treat after
we have a sick care system.
The disaster happens.
We don't have healthcare, we have sick care. Yeah.
We just let you play and eat and smoke and drink and do your thing. And then when you suddenly find yourself really sick or injured or incapacitated, then we try to throw stuff at it.
Yep.
And with change and healing, first of all, compassion.
Yeah.
And more compassion in people that for whatever reason feel they need to heal from whatever they need to heal from, because we don't know. And sometimes our brains have even kept it from us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So compassion, if someone is on a self-proclaimed healing journey, you have my full support and love and compassion. Right. Been there, done that. Yeah. But yeah, our healthcare system, I would have loved to see that change to a preventative.
Yeah. We have a lot of work to do in healing in general. But I do think that, and for me, when I think about healing and what I want to see in the future, is more people speaking out about what doesn't work and challenging the narratives and challenging the system that's in place now. Because we don't know what is going to work, but we know that this isn't working.
Yeah.
It's not working. The sickest country in the world. Not working.
I think since it came up earlier, I would also hope that people would lean more towards healing from the inside out.
That's beautiful.
Rather than the outside in, right? A lesson that I had to learn. And the last thing I would say is healing without fear. Because I told you I just went and saw
going on an Instagram reel.
I just saw my oncologist recently.
That's right.
I'm the type, though, I forget I'm supposed to go see them.
Right.
I don't think that I don't ever consider I don't ever think about that I had cancer.
Exactly.
It was actually 7 years ago. But even the year after and the year after, you get CAT scans every 6 months or a year, and they check your blood. And every time I was like, whatever. If it comes back, it comes back. Right. I'm not the type to get a CAT scan and then I got to see what the result is. I'm just not. And but I just saw my oncologist recently, and she was scolding me for not coming in. I haven't seen her, and I said, "How? It's been so long. Do I really have to keep coming back to see you?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "How often?" She said, "Every 6 months." I said, "Are you kidding?
Crazy.
After 7 years?" And I looked at her, and the fear in her face.
Yeah. So much.
Bless her heart. She's a healer. She's doing what she can to keep people
alive. She's doing what she's told to do. It's the system that she's
I just felt such an awareness of, wow, she's operating from fear for me.
Right.
Fearful for me.
Right.
I'm not fearful.
No.
About that.
No.
So I don't know. That just kind of struck me. That just happened last week. So
that's beautiful. I think that's really important. We're operating from so much fear.
Fear.
First of all, it's making us sick.
Thank you.
And then if we're trying to heal and there's more fear in that, the cycle continues.
Yes. Okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I think that people are really going to take away your story and your path and what you've been through and your resilience and perseverance to want to be well and whole
Well, I'm
and to be
always
whole
open
again.
to answering questions, so anybody can
how can
hit me up. I'm SoulCycle Sue on Instagram,
on Instagram?
and I'm always opening to answer questions
Yeah.
about any of the healing things I tried and whether or not they worked.
Reach out to Sue,
And
she is very responsive. She will respond. To
any information about any of the things that helped me is the whole reason I'm running my mouth right now.
Yeah. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And in community, with connection, with conversation, coming, out of this interesting time and connecting more, being there for one another. We've been there for each other through our journeys. You have people in your life. If you don't reach out to us, we will talk to you.
Come give me a hug.
Right.
Because I need some human touch.
We're all in this together.
Thank you.
We're all in this together. So I want to thank you for being here.
I love you.
I love you so much. And this, we're doing part 2. I'm glad that you didn't get into the psychedelics, because that is
it's like that was the big part of my healing.
And I was so glad that you didn't bring it up until the very end. I was like, because I manifested that. I was like, I want to do a part 2. Oh my God. And we didn't talk about it.
It really is enough information to fill a hole.
Your journey. So stay tuned. I love like a part 2. Stay tuned. Because we are going to talk about that. So thank you for being here. I love you. And to the listeners, thank you so much for joining us today in the space between. Check us out on Instagram. Like, subscribe, comment. We want to hear from you.
Connect.
And we'll see you soon again in the space between. Thank you so much for joining us in the space between. We hope this conversation sparked connection for you. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who will find value. And make sure to tune into our next episode as we continue the journey into the core themes of our lives. We'll see you again in the space between.